pass without producing a tornado, so that's good news. That just has about, again, 9 minutes to go on that. All right, let's go back up to the other cells that we are concerned about. Those are the cells that are just west of Wood County right now. So there's that cell that has just moved to the north of Canton, and then that other cell that is in northern Henderson County that is closer to Athens at this point. So that's tornado warned storm till 8:15. Gun Barrel City, tornado warned storm until 7:45, so just about 9 minutes from now. Both of these at this point, radar indicated. We're not getting any confirmation from any spotters that we are seeing any tornadoes. Doesn't mean that one can't be produced quickly. So that's why we're on the air here, giving you a heads up. You can see the lightning, and as the lightning intensifies, the updrafts in these thunderstorms also intensify. You're able to watch our coverage at the same time. You're not missing any of the basketball coverage. We're keeping you up to date with those storms. When we have national commercial breaks, then we'll talk and go over all that programming. But when basketball is coming back on, we are going to at least allow you to see these games here tonight, even though Oral Roberts is down significantly to Duke, but still want to give you that service. We know that there are many people who are not impacted by these storms right now, but it's very important for us to warn folks downstream in Mineola and in Lindale of this potential cell as it moves in, that it could be dangerous. And also in Gun Barrel City right now, we have several folks out in Gun Barrel City that watch us here, and we hear from them all the time on our Facebook page and such. And you'll see that City of Athens right now is still not inside that polygon, but they're watching that cell, hopefully. Hopefully, if you live in Gun Barrel City, you are in your safe place. Let's zoom down on to Gun Barrel City because we want to find out any other places around that or highways. See Tool right there? That cell is moving right through there. There's Eustis. So this is going to be coming out of Athens up toward Eustis, crossing the highway there, eventually headed over toward Murchison and Martins Mill. So as it continues to push to the east, there could be, and it would be right in here where we see that circulation. So there are winds being drawn into the storm, and at the same time as the winds are drawn into the storm, the air rises, it cools, it condenses, and then as it does, in that rotation that's right in here, on the backside of that, the colder air flows down. As the colder air spills out of the thunderstorm, then it gets wrapped back into the cell. Same thing holds true out here. If we get a strong enough downdraft out front, that can be pulled back in to the circulation, and then right in here, that couplet would tighten up just a little bit. But a tremendous lightning show right now at Gun Barrel City, and this is going to cross, and it is currently crossing 175. So if you knew anybody that was traveling 175, say they were headed toward Dallas on 175 and they were just driving through Athens to about Pickens, I would have them hold up and wait for that cell to pass. New severe thunderstorm warning now till 8:30 with a tornado tag possible on that. So what's going to happen here in about 7 minutes, this is going to be allowed to expire. The tornado warning will be allowed to expire. It will be replaced by a severe thunderstorm warning. And so I think essentially what you're looking at here is the National Weather Service is looking inside this storm and applying the algorithms that go along with it, and seeing that right now it doesn't have a wall cloud or a funnel cloud associated with it, but it has enough rotation within that cell that it could produce one. So this tornado warning will likely be replaced by this severe thunderstorm warning with a possible tornado tag on it, and that goes until 8:30 tonight. So this is probably how this cell will play out unless a spotter or there is a stronger indication on radar with that cell. But that is moving right through Gun Barrel City. You can see all that lightning, and boy, it is really coming down in terms of 4 to 5 inch an hour rainfall rates, and Tool also some heavy rainfall. All right, let's leave this storm for a second and go on back up to the other storm that we have tornado warned currently, and that is the one that is in Van Zant County that is crossing over here into, it's just west of Wood County right now. But it is in Van Zant, in Henderson County, also Henderson County, on up here into, I think, a portion of Rains County. So that's the cell. Here is where we would be concerned. We'll go to velocity and see if we can pick up perhaps a better, there it is, a nice indication here. Red and green close to each other. Here's Mineola. So this is getting very close to the edge of that cell. So let's see if the Weather Service is going to extend that warning out into Wood County. And right now, let's just kind of check out the Shreveport let's see, new tornado warning coming for the rest of northern Henderson County, southern Van Zant County. That's coming soon. So we're going to get a new tornado warning and decent reflectivity appearance. Radar storm northeast of Hemp Hill. Okay, so that's down to the southeast, but they're going to keep a severe thunderstorm warning on that cell down at Hemp Hill. So really our storms of concern right now are going to be the ones that are warned by the National Weather Service office in Shreveport. I mean, it's Fort Worth, I'm sorry. And that is going to be Henderson County and till 8:30 tonight. So a new tornado warning in Henderson County until 8:30. This severe thunderstorm capable of producing the tornado was located near Enchanted Oaks or near Gun Barrel City, still moving east at 35 miles an hour. So this one looks like the mesocyclone inside that cell has weakened just a little bit. Let's pan down a little bit farther and see, this is, I believe, the new tornado warning. There it goes. So the new tornado warning now includes the city of Athens. So if you live in Athens, please head to your safe place. Brownsboro, currently right on the edge of that polygon, so I would head to the safe place. So I thought for a second they would allow this to go forward with just a severe thunderstorm warning, but the National Weather Service has opted instead to replace, again, the circulation may have strengthened just a little bit. So Caney City, Athens, Eustis, you need to be in your safe place. Take along your phone, your CBS19 app, listen to us there. Make sure that you're going to the most interior room of your house. That could be a closet. It could be a bathroom. We don't want you to have any windows. The lack of windows is going to help protect you from flying debris, flying glass, and things of that nature. So that's the first thing to do. Make sure that it is on the lowest floor possible. At this point, it is better if you were in Eustis, for instance, and you didn't know where else to go, is to just hunker down where you are instead of trying to get outside and outrun these storms. Sometimes some folks can get injured and hurt when they leave their dwelling or their structure that they were in and try to escape and get out of those places and run for a different type of shelter. And they can get caught outside. Tornadoes can toss cars, a quarter of a mile. So they are no match for the winds of a tornado, or maybe even straight line winds toppling over that car. But again, one tornado warning goes for another minute and a half. That'll be the one, I believe, that was impacting Gun Barrel City, but that'll be replaced. And so Toole and Gun Barrel City will soon be in the clear, but it'll be Eustis, it'll be Athens, it'll be Murchison, and Brownsboro that would then next be up as that storm continues moving eastward. So the area that we're looking at here is right here west of Stockard. So if we can zoom in right in here, Savannah, and kind of look and see if there's any kind of street level mapping that we can do down here. There's Log Cabin. So there's 174, and 198 through Payne Springs. Okay, Enchanted Oaks is where we were talking about. This is the reason that they were going to issue the new tornado warning, is because that circulation was passing through Enchanted Oaks. And so as it moves out of Enchanted Oaks toward Payne Springs and across the highway and then out towards Stockard, that is what has prompted the new tornado warning to go until 8:30. So that's the cell there. And again, we are talking about radar indicated, but a strong enough radar circulation that they have now put off, the sirens are going off in Maybank. So if you're hearing the sirens in Maybank, it is because there is a tornado warning on that cell as it moves toward Maybank here this evening. So it's just about, I think as the sun is setting, and this becomes very difficult to see anything other than, lightning. And sometimes lightning can light up a wall cloud or a lowering. So this will be very difficult, and this is why we do not want you to go outside and try to look at these cells for yourself. At this point, the best thing to do is to go to your shelter, follow along on our CBS19 app, or take the radio along and listen to one of our Alpha Media partners. And by the way, if you're listening to our Alpha Media radio partners, we're live on the air for severe weather at this time, and that includes our radio partners 106.5 Jack FM, Kicks 105.7, 104 The Ranch, and La Invasora 96.7. We're going to return to normal programming when the threat has passed, but at this point, the threat has not passed. Let's turn off the lightning so we can get a look inside. We're going to see this red and green area here southeast of Gun Barrel City. It's going to be right in here, and it does not look as well defined as it was. You'll see these purples here. So unfortunately, where we live here in East Texas, we've got one radar site shooting at us from the west in Dallas-Fort Worth. We've got another site, another radar beam that's coming in from Shreveport. And a lot of times they just kind of, because of the curvature of the earth, they get bent down toward the surface. And so we come away with what we call range folding, and that's what we're seeing there in the purple. So that's where ground truth, that's where eyes in the field, the sky-worn spotters, ham radio operators, this is where they really play an important role in the integrated warning team that is in place with the National Weather Service, and that does include members of the media as we try to relay the information out to keep folks safe. So it's a matter of safety here, and it's a network of dedicated volunteer individuals that are out there in the field, ham radio operators, sky-worn operators, emergency managers. Sometimes I know they get paid, but they're still out there doing their job, relaying information, and that all goes through a coordinator, and that coordinator will send that information on to either the National Weather Service office in Fort Worth or the National Weather Service office over in Shreveport. So that then is collected. That visual, that real ground truth can be included in those reports. It can be included in the decision making by the National Weather Service to continue tornado warnings or to let tornado warnings expire. But right now, we're looking at Payne Springs and Eustis as these areas that are currently under the gun. Let's go back to reflectivity. I think we've kind of, our velocity signature has kind of lost this a little bit here, and it looks a little murky in there. Reflectivity gives us a little better feel for this, and I think it's just kind of difficult to see, and we could be seeing what we call just kind of a recycling of these cells. It looks like one part of the cell is trying to strengthen, where another cell might be weakening just a little bit here toward log cabin. But let's go back quickly to reflectivity. I just need to correlate what's going on here with this. So there's a little bit of bright green here, and then, so there's just not a lot going on at this time inside that storm that we can tell. Let's go back to reflectivity, and I'll see if we can get an update from the National Weather Service and see if there's any kind of new word on what's happening there. All right, so all right, so there's nothing that we can tell from any of the spotters out in the field and the National Weather Service that is concerning, other than the hail and the wind that we're currently getting with this storm. So that's 198 into Payne Springs. And so as that circulation crosses to the east over toward 175 in Pickens, we want you to be in that safe place right now. All right, let's widen things out. Let's give everybody kind of a wide perspective, and I'll tell you why we're covering these storms currently. We've got a line of showers and thunderstorms back toward Terrell and Scurry. These are trying to catch up to those cells. We want that to happen, believe it or not. We do not want these cells to be out there individually just chewing up the atmosphere, because that keeps them stronger. If these can overcome these cells, then they'll form a line of showers and thunderstorms. The line of showers and thunderstorms can produce some strong winds. And those winds, yes, they can be damaging, but straight line winds will be a lot shorter lived than, say, a tornado that could do a lot more damage with potentially stronger winds. Sometimes tornadic winds can be 120, 130 miles an hour. The instance of these straight line winds tonight, we're talking generally 60 to 65 miles an hour. So there'd be a big difference in terms of the wind speeds. Wind speed exponentially does more damage the stronger it gets. All right, so there's Mineola right now, still just sitting outside of that tornado warned storm. That goes until 8:15. We do have the new tornado warned storm till 8:30. That includes the city of Athens. Both of these cells, let's go back to the one up here in northern parts of eastern Van Zant County and a little sliver of Rains County. That's toward Grand Saline. And again, it's just really difficult to tell from reflectivity what the warning is, unless it's just this cell here that's now out toward Mineola, and we can go to we can go to velocity and see. It just doesn't look like there's something very strong here. So we'll stay with us for a little bit and see if the National Weather Service out of Dallas at Fort Worth, if they just extend the severe thunderstorm warning or they allow this to expire here. But it still has about 25 minutes to go, but there's just not a lot that we're seeing inside these cells at this time. Now let's go back to the Titan indicator. Maybe that'll give us an idea of what's happening. The Titan indicator, again, it uses math, it uses an algorithm. It looks inside these storms, and it kind of tells us what's going inside those storms. And that one near Edgewood, that little Titan indicator, will tell us what's essentially out ahead of that. So the storm's moving east at 37 miles an hour. The max hail size in this is about just smaller than quarters, but there is the probability that there is at least some hail in it. Could be dime and nickel size. No tornado impact right now. The wind impact's at a 6, so there's likely some very strong gusty winds coming out of that thunderstorm and some heavy rain with that flooding impact. All right, let's turn this off and let's track, they'll go back to reflectivity, then we'll track the storm moving to the east at 37 miles an hour. And looks like we do now, they might have canceled the tornado warning there. So that would be very good news. Oh, you had turned off? Okay, so we turned that off for a second. All right, let's see. Terrell Emergency Management has some staff in Paint Springs at Chanted Oaks area reporting seeing some rotation, but nothing worth talking about. So that's from the, that's going out of the National Weather Service office in Dallas, okay? And then out of here, National Weather Service out of Shreveport is still talking about the storm down in Hemp Hill, keeping a possible eye on that. We can go down to that cell in Hemp Hill, and I'll just briefly update everybody. It looks like they are going to move, that storm's going to move over into Louisiana, and that will be out of our area soon. But they're still concerned about this rotation here, now east of Hemp Hill, but that looks like it's crossing over into Louisiana. So we're going to leave this, and we'll say you're clear in Hemp Hill, you're clear at East Hamilton, so I think you're clear across deep East Texas for right now. So let's put that one to bed, and we will come back up here to these other cells that we still have the tornado warnings on at this time. Again, we had some staff from emergency management out in this area here in Chanted Oaks, and not seeing anything that would create any big time concern for them. This is, let's go here, north of Athens. We have a better defined reflectivity signature here with an inflow notch coming into the storm toward Murchison. And Malakoff, you're in the clear. Eustis, you are sitting right now in probably some heavy rain and some hail. So let's look right in here. There's Athens, here's Murchison, there's the inflow notch to the northeast of Pickens. All right, and we turn on velocity. As we turn on the velocity, again, we're getting just range folding here, so that's just not going to help us out. Can we change the color table maybe to either the National Weather Service velocity contrast? And again, that's not going to help us out either. So back here, this is a little bit better back toward Eustis, but that is not in the spot that I was looking at that being. And again, sometimes the radar can be a little bit behind reflectivity. There it is. All right, so let's go back over here. So it looks like we found a better picture here. Now that would make more sense. Okay, so that was the Titan indicator, and this is better. This is right over Highway 175 right now. There's Eustis, here's Pickens, back here to the northwest. So this circulation is moving right over Eustis currently. There's Log Cabin to the north. So it's right firmly in the middle of the tornado warning right now. So let's just go over again where you need to go. If you live in Eustis, if you live in Pickens, if you're in Brownsboro even, and in Murchison, or anywhere along Highway 19, we need you to get to your safe place right now, okay? So we have some brighter reds here showing up. That's wind going away from the radar. In this instance, we're looking at the National Weather Service radar out of Fort Worth. So it's going away from the radar toward Pickens in this instance, and the winds at Eustis are coming back in toward the radar. So this is the circulation that we are concerned about. It's not tremendously strong right now. I think we did a gate-to-gate shear on that earlier, and it was about 37 miles an hour. But if you live in Pickens, we need you still to go to your safe place. And your safe place, as you'll remember, and we say this often, but it's important, is that room that's in the lower portion of your house. It's also that room that is surrounded by as many walls as possible. So you want as many as 8 walls between you and the outside. Okay, when you get that many walls, you have a better chance of surviving if a tornado were to hit your house. But this right now, as we've been hearing, and let's go, so this is a new Titan indicator. This has just jumped in here. That's a strong updraft when we get into the oranges. So green is usually a low-end updraft. Yellow begins to get to that medium size. When we get into the orange, that's a medium to strong updraft inside that cell. So let's click on that. and kind of get an idea of what's going on inside that storm. And it looks like still maybe some growing hail size there. We had some hail about nickel size, I think, there. The probability of hail on that, though, is now down to 80%. It was 100%. But look at the wind impact. There's no tornado wind impact with this, but we are getting some very strong gusty winds currently with that cell. So we'll turn this off because I think it's important now in Eustis, and then to track this to the east at 35 miles an hour. And we can really just track it from right here on the circulation going eastward. Probably have to widen that out just a little bit, yeah. And see where that storm's going. So that's moving east, 35 miles an hour. That's going to, again, if you're in Gun Barrel City, you're in the clear right now. I think Athens is also in the clear because that circulation is heading over toward Brownsboro. So about 35, 36 miles an hour. So Murchison here in about 18 minutes. So I'm giving you 18 minutes heads up in Murchison. Opelika also about 25 minutes, in Brownsboro about a half hour. Eventually, if it moves into Smith County, and it's possible, it would be at Chandler in 45 minutes and Tyler Pounds in about an hour. So again, this is a singular cell out ahead of the developing line of thunderstorms that has a signature of rotation within it just to the west of Stockard. So it's surrounded by a severe thunderstorm warning in Martins Mill that has this dashed line indicating that a tornado would be possible. But really, if we isolate that portion of the cell that's within the tornado-warned box, it's going to be just to the west of Stockard, right over Eustis right now. So if you live in Eustis, we need you to get to your safe place and stay there. Hopefully you're there already. Same holds true for Stockard, same holds true for Brownsboro, and even Murchison. This is just kind of clipping away at the cities as this jumps to the east here. This is moving east at 35 miles an hour. So within 2 hours, it should be all the way over toward Overton and Browning and moving on to the east. Now, by that time, the line that's out to the west of those showers of thunderstorms may catch up to it. It may pull it back in, absorb it, and then we'd be more worried about straight line winds instead of singular cells like this. All right, it looks like as we've widened things out here that this might be the only tornado warning at this time. Okay, so that's the only tornado warning at this time. That's north central Henderson County. This is good news for the folks in Mineola. The tornado warning was allowed to expire up in parts of Van Zandt County. No, we checked that several different times. There were not any circulations inside that cell that suggested that there was a possible tornado. National Weather Service agrees and has dropped it. But still a severe thunderstorm warning for Lindale, Mineola, Big Sandy. So some strong winds in here. Maybe, I think, more in line, perhaps the hail would be a bigger possibility in that cell. But this is the cell of concern right now. The lines here are associated with the severe thunderstorm warning. Sometimes if you see the lines within the red, and it's just the red polygon by itself, and you see the lines, that's usually tornado observed or confirmed. But we don't have that right now here, but we still need you to go to your safe place. Athens would be one of those places that we need you to be sheltered up right now. Get in, get down, get covered. We say that often, and we will continue to say that because if you're inside, if you're as low as you can possibly be, and you're covered up with something, that's as safe as you possibly can be. All right, so my idea would be if we probably played this back an hour, if we took off the lightning, we took off the Titan indicator, you'd be able to see this thing just kind of spinning as it moves from west to east through the area. And that would be all the way out in western parts of Henderson County to where it is now. In fact, probably going out toward Ellis County. And then, so watch this. Here's the cell. And indeed, it's spinning. There's another one that's trying to spin back toward Corsicana. But this cell continues to spin. It looks like it perhaps, I'm not sure if the hail core is coming down with it. That would be an indication that the storm is weakening a little bit. It looks like it's trying to tighten up its circulation. Certainly looks like it's gone through a couple of different cycles, and it's trying to sort of recycle and regenerate and get a little bit stronger. But yeah, that has a nice definition to it. Has a nice look, what appears to be a rear flank on it. There's probably some strong winds blowing out of the backside of the storm. It looks like there may be some winds being ingested right here into northern parts of Henderson County. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning goes into northern Smith County and Wood County Let's go up to that severe thunderstorm warning there. We'll leave this just for a second. As we do that, I'll check out some information from the Weather Service on that other cell and see if we can get some other information for you as that cell continues pushing east at 35 miles an hour. That tornado warning is still in effect for about another 15 minutes. Anyway, this cell here right now has some strong winds in it, maybe some quarter-sized hail. I think it's radar indicated as it marches toward Gilmer. So it's right now moving through Mineola. So Mineola is getting the thunderstorm that was a tornado warned storm out in Canton. It is currently just a severe thunderstorm warned storm. All right, let's stop the radar and we'll give everybody a track because this is going to be moving east also at 35 miles an hour. So if we can just kind of pull that out and show folks where that's headed to the east at 35 miles an hour, that should get to Gilmer here within the next half hour. Should be in Gilmer by 8:30. The other tornado warning down there toward Athens also goes until 8:30. So yeah, right in there, and that'll put it up into Lindale here within the next minute, at least this bottom portion of it, maybe a few minutes after that. Hawkins at 8:21, so a portion of the storm makes it into Hawkins, over toward Gilmer. That's going to be at 8:34, and then Gladewater, if the bottom end of that holds together and moves in that direction, Gladewater at 8:47, Ewell at 8:36. I think Ewell has a better chance to see that thunderstorm move right overhead, and eventually downstream in Ore City at 8:53. So Lindale may get clipped by the southern edge of that severe thunderstorm. I think if you're looking at toward Hawkins, 8:21, you're probably going to see that thunderstorm move through there, certainly at Gilmer at 8:34. All right, let's go back down here to Athens and investigate this area here. And in Athens, again, this is the severe thunderstorm with a tornado tag on it. And we do have a tornado warning in that area in red. And let's see, back in the Dallas-Fort Worth, I bring this up because we're dealing with some of these same cells here. Dallas-Fort Worth area, thunderstorm wind damage, down trees, broken tree limbs. So we may get something like that we'll find with these cells as they've moved through parts of Henderson County. But for right now, we continue with these tornado warnings until 8 o'clock. Okay, I'm just trying to get some more information from the Weather Service. So this goes for, yeah, it's got another 28 minutes on it, so we just have to wait and ride it out. Right now it's moving through Log Cabin, so if you're in Log Cabin, please be in your safe place. At Athens, the same holds true. There's Martins Mill. You are outside of the tornado polygon, so I think you're okay at this time. Moore Station is downstream from the cell here. So in Moore Station, we need you to be in your safe place. Same thing as Opelika. As that moves toward Chandler, if it can hold together, there's Lake Palestine. So you want anybody that's over at Lake Palestine, if they're night fishing tonight, to get them off the lake, get them in before this cell moves in here. Savannah, can you turn lightning back on here? I think we have a ton of lightning coming with that. So that can be, yeah, very dangerous. In fact, sometimes you can have lightning strike out about 30 miles out ahead of a thunderstorm. So now would be the time to get folks off of Lake Palestine. There's Log Cabin in Athens, probably hearing the thunder right now moving toward Athens. And then you just saw a new lightning strike come up here. This is likely going to be the hail core right here to the northeast of Log Cabin. And we're watching this area in here for the potential for circulation. Let's go back to velocity and see, as we see these cells coming in here, might want to either pan that back to the left a little bit. Maybe we can get closer to the Dallas-Fort Worth site so that it would pick it up a little bit, because it looks like right now we're picking up Shreveport's signature. So if we can go back and forth, maybe move it back to this way just a little bit, we might be able to, yeah. So that's what we've been looking at here. So it looks like that Eustis, again, it's a pretty broad circulation. So yeah. Murchison, right now within that polygon, the lightning continues. There's likely going to be hail in that. We just looking at this, that does not, to me, look like anything that would warrant the warning continuing. But National Weather Service is continuing that warning. They've got some spotters in the field out there, but we have not heard any confirmations of anything at this time. So I still need to be in your shelter until we get a different word on that, as that cell moves eastward at 35 miles an hour. So Pickens is there. We've said that. In fact, right now, I'd say it's almost moving east of Pickens. Athens is going to be just to the south of it, but I'd be sheltered up in Athens. and in Baxter, and also at Leagueville, just depending on which way that cell is moving, over toward Murchison and then toward Brownsboro. We've been telling you in Brownsboro, and Edom even is just close enough that that cell could turn just a little bit. But Eustis right now, that cell passed over Eustis. Have not heard any reports, not seen any reports of any damage as that rotation passed over Eustis or over Pickens and moved to the east. So if you know of any damage or you've seen anything, please report that to the National Weather Service, and we'll let you know about that. Let's see. There is reports out of Kaufman County of some quarter-sized hail. So that does meet the severe thunderstorm warning criteria. Let's see. There is a small rotational couplet just to the northeast side of Corsicana. That was reported at 8:04. But now you see just a little bit better couplet here, northwest of Murchison. So that's about as strong as we've seen so far tonight. That's enough to trip the trigger on the tornado warning at this time. Let's go back to reflectivity. I might also go back to just correlation coefficient and see if we can get any type of correlation between reflectivity and velocity. And so we're not seeing any type of damage. There are no types of, nothing non-meteorological. There's some ice indicated in here, so there's likely some cells or hailstones being lifted up into the updraft. But otherwise, some heavy rain on the backside of that toward Log Cabin and Eustis, and there's likely going to be, again, some hail right in here. So that's where it stands right now. There's Brownsboro, and again, usually this is probably the anvil of the storm. If it was daytime, this would be a really nice structured storm. You'll be able to see the anvil. You might have a small overshooting top back in this vicinity here. You'd possibly have a little bit of some flanking line thunderstorms trying to develop back here to the west. And then maybe out here you'd have a little bit of a beaver tail trying to develop with inflow coming into the storm. That's if it was daylight and we could see everything. But we don't have that since it's nighttime, and that makes it extremely difficult to see anything at this time. And lightning, there's a ton of lightning with it, and we might switch to one of our cameras here and give you a look in a second just to what that looks like from outside. So we would be looking off in this vicinity here. In Tyler, it's still pretty quiet. We still have some rain coming down, and that rain will continue. In fact, there'll be a line of thunderstorms that'll get here at about 10 o'clock tonight, and that line will be moving through. Just a reminder that we are live on the air for severe weather at this hour. That includes our radio partners, 106.5 Jack FM, Kicks 105.7, 104 The Ranch, La Invasora, and we will return to normal programming when the threat has passed. But right now, there is a threat. And also, this is the other concerning cell that the National Weather Service just mentioned in their chat room, northeast of Corsicana. So we're going to hope that decides to sort of tighten up, or not tighten up, but just kind of get pulled back into the cloud and not eventually become more of a hook echo. So that was trying to do something right here west of Goodloe, east of Corsicana. I bring that up because there's Malakoff, there's Crossroads, and so if that were to continue to move to the east into an environment that is slightly more conducive, we have a little bit more wind shear out here now than they had back in central and north central Texas earlier today. So that's why we have this cell here. And sometimes these cells are moving into environments that would be supportive of a tornado warning. And so you get the indicator on radar. You know that this cell is moving into that environment that could strengthen it, could strengthen the mesocyclone inside, could increase the rotation within the cell. And if that's going to happen, then that's more advanced warning on a possible tornado warning. So sometimes you just can't go strictly off of what you're seeing on radar, again, because you're scanning at different levels of the radar, but you're also looking farther away, especially when you get closer to Athens and out here in East Texas. You're looking farther away from the radar sites in Dallas-Fort Worth and in Shreveport. So ground truth from the ham radio operators and Skywarn would be best. But when you have something like this and the indication is that the couplet, the rotational couplet is strong enough and it sits in that environment that could even make it stronger, then that tornado warning has to continue. And it includes and continues for another 20 minutes. All right, so let's kind of zoom in down on that area. That, again, stays north of Athens. I'm not ready yet to clear you out of Athens. Murchison now, you certainly need to be in your safe place right now. And Brownsboro as that storm moves to the east. So it's about halfway through that polygon right now. And it has that shape. Again, if we were daylight, this would be a well-structured storm, and it would almost have supercellular characteristics to it as it tries to produce a rear flank downdraft, and it tries to produce a bounded weak echo region, but it's not doing it quite yet. So it's close. If we go back inside with velocity, we'll be able to see that circulation here right there. And now it looks rather wide. So that circulation looks like it's widened out a little bit northwest of Murchison. There's a lot of lightning again. That lightning is an indication that the cell has strengthened and may continue to even strengthen, but it looks like just from the lightning in the last half hour or so that it has maintained strength. So it hasn't necessarily weakened. It has maintained strength, but it does look like that circulation from top to bottom is stretched out over several miles. So we want that circulation to be about 1 to 2 miles if we're going to get really a chance to have a really tight tornado. In less than a mile, it really starts to get concerning. But this is a pretty wide circulation right now as that moves northwest of Murchison. Again, that purple area there is because we're shooting from the Shreveport radar site. At the same time, we're pulling from the National Weather Service site in Fort Worth, and so our beam, or their beam, is getting sent back down to the ground. So this is what we have to go off of, is what we're seeing inside that cell currently, and that is that cell that is still in Henderson County. So it's taking quite a bit of time for it to move into that location. All right, spotters reported a lowering near Gun Barrel City. He was on 198 headed toward Main Street. This has probably got to be some old information because that has moved out of Gun Barrel City, that cell. So, and perhaps that's why they're continuing the tornado warning. Spotter reporting that lowering near Gun Barrel. 198 headed toward Main Street. Lowering is to the northwest, but unable to tell if there's rotation. So again, once you get into nighttime, and it happens here in East Texas so many times, because when thunderstorms and supercells are moving out of north central Texas into East Texas, it's often after sunset when they get here. And so that's what we're looking at here, is north of Athens with that circulation. So if you're in Murchison, please be in your safe place. We'll go over where to be in the sort of safe place again. If you're in a mobile home, hopefully you made the decision earlier today to evacuate to another shelter, especially when that tornado watch was issued. When that tornado watch was issued earlier, then you needed to go to your shelter. By the way, there is a tornado watch until 1 o'clock this morning for all of East Texas. Once we get to about 9 or 10 o'clock, we'll start to see some counties up to the northwest paired away because by then we anticipate these showers and thunderstorms forming into a line, and then it'll be a straight line wind threat over parts of deep East Texas. And even here in Tyler and Longview and up, I think, I-20 toward Shreveport and maybe down toward Anderson County. About that time, about 9 to 10 o'clock, so within about 45 minutes, we should start to see this transition into more of a linear concern, so a line of thunderstorms with winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. So we may have several severe thunderstorm warnings as we go through the evening hours. The other concern is along that leading edge, sometimes you will have quick little spin-ups like this that will prompt tornado warnings. And so as those warnings come up, you have to be concerned that they don't produce quick, what we call quasi-linear convective system tornadoes. That can happen, and it can happen at a moment's notice. Sometimes between radar scans, there could be a tornado that touches down. After dark, so much harder to see for spotters, for Skywarn, for the integrated warn team. So you have to play it as safe as possible when those warnings are issued heading to your shelter. It's one night out of your life. There won't be any severe weather tomorrow. Likely right now at this point, it doesn't look like there'll be any severe weather next week. We're going to be pretty chilly and cool right through next Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see about, there is a front that comes through Friday, maybe Thursday night into Friday would present another opportunity to have some stronger thunderstorms. But that weekend of the Elite Eight and Final Four, we'll wait and see how the Final Four sets up. But for this first night of NCAA basketball, and you're not missing anything right now, I think we're at halftime or maybe between games. So that's why we're covering this. Otherwise, if we were back into the other game, you'd see us on a split screen. My hope is that by 8:30, this is allowed to expire, just because at this point, we haven't had we had reports of a lowering way back toward Gun Barrel City. That was a half hour ago, but we haven't had any reports of anything else. In fact, that just even got even weaker at this time. All right, so now we've continued this tornado warning till 8:30. That is now just the city of Murchison, but this is northwest. That signature is going to be northwest of Murchison. So there's lightning inside that. There's Brownsboro not included in that. So we'll wait and see. My initial thought was that they would just go severe thunderstorm warning and make that tornado possible tag on that for that area in yellow. But now it looks like the severe thunderstorm warning has expired. No, it continues. It's been extended out now into Smith County. So that continues with the tornado tag. That goes until, let's see, this is going to be a different Weather Service office. So severe thunderstorm warning for Camp Smith, Upshur, Wood County till 8:45. Okay, so here's some video from Henderson County Scanner. Yeah, it does look like perhaps a lowering back there, or perhaps a bit of a, there's a hail shaft. So there's hail. That's quite a bit of hail. There's probably the rain-free base. And that's Lake Palestine. Okay, so that's going to be Henderson near Lake Palestine. So that's going to be back here, probably farther to the south, as that one cell was moving in earlier. That looked like we had a hail core for sure in there, and it looked like there might have been at least the attempt at a lowering on the backside of that between the rain-free base, the hail-free base, and then what we saw. All right, so Murchison right now, the cell is right over top, but just to the northwest of Murchison. Again, it's weakened just a little bit as it moves. Let's put a new track on this. We'll start this from here, okay, and then we'll go east at 35 miles an hour. So, because now we have Chandler, we have Noonday, we have almost Tyler in the severe thunderstorm warning. And so what we're going to do is, if they allow this tornado warning to expire here in about 15 minutes, we will just go back to basketball and not have the split screen. And then if we get another tornado warning, of course, we have to go back to split screen to protect everybody. But you can see Tyler pounds. So that cell, as it's moving to the east, is going to be moving into Tyler about 9 o'clock. But it's interesting to note that it's a singular cell, and it's not the line of thunderstorms. A lot of the data, our modeling guidance, was suggesting it would be a line of thunderstorms with a couple of individual cells out ahead of that. I think our in-house computer model, I was talking about this last night at 10 o'clock, had a couple of those individual cells, and I said if they could get out there, they're called discrete cells. If they can get discrete, they have a whole environment to work on them by themselves. I use the analogy of having a whole box of cereal to yourself. You eat that whole box of cereal, of energy for days, right? But if you got to share it, then you start to lose your energy. So thunderstorm, kind of the same sort of thing to think about. If it's pulling in from if other thunderstorms are feeding off that same environment, they don't have as much energy to gain and get stronger, and so they just kind of all stay a little bit smaller. But these have been feeding on their own environment. They've had basically their own box of cereal, and that's why they got a little bit stronger. So Brownsboro 838, Gresham 904, Tyler 909 as that cell moves eastward. And again, it's this tornado warned portion of the cell. But notice surrounding that, you have a severe thunderstorm warning that bumps right up against Smith County, and that goes until 8:30, and that has the hash marks in there for a tornado tag possible. So the tornado tag possible is here. Okay, so there's reflectivity again. Savannah Hale is here with us in the Weather Center, driving radar for me tonight, doing a yeoman's job here, doing a fantastic job kind of pointing out these storms for us. Murchison right now is just getting hammered with those heavy rains and lightning and wind coming out of this. And so this extends back here toward Athens right now. Brownsboro, you've got probably some winds coming off the front of this storm at this point, toward Tyler, toward Noonday. So you have winds flowing out. What often happens is the winds are pushed out because you've got colder air aloft in the thunderstorms. Colder air is more dense, right? So it falls. As it falls, it takes the rain with it. Rain pulls it down. It gets pushed down to the surface. By the way, there's Lake Palestine. We saw that video just a little bit ago from there. And that was likely looking back into this cell. So that was from Palestine looking back into that cell in Henderson County. Anyway, So that's going to pull it, and then it gets pulled back into the storm. At the same time, we get a flanking line of thunderstorms that forms on the backside of that. And if you can get some downburst winds out of that, it can get pulled back into the circulation. And sometimes when we have really tight circulations and we get stronger tornadoes, we have both of these working in concert, and then they start that rotation. But again, if we had that video again, this would just give us a good perspective here. So there's Palestine. Oh, that was actually Gun Barrel City. Oh, I'm sorry, what was that again? This is Gun Barrel City? Oh, what Springs Bridge? Payne Springs Bridge. Oh, Payne Springs, okay. So Payne Springs Bridge. Again, so we thought here, we had reports of a lot of hail inside that cell. So that's likely, and then you got the rain-free base, and then you have the lowering here. It looks like there was at least some possible rotation within that cell. That was out by Gun Barrel City earlier this evening. So that's why that continues to have a tornado warning on it, because it's had a couple of signatures, but nothing at this point that has produced anything. We don't have any reports of any type of damage at this time, so that's certainly good news. All right, let's see, we talked about the extensive tree damage, camper overturned and homes damaged and injuries just north of Corsicana. All right, so that might have been that cell back here that we were looking at Corsicana, back here toward, I think it's Kieran's. So that's the cell there. This may have something on it toward Round Prairie now, and this would move into Malakoff. So it doesn't look, it looked earlier like it had a better sort of circulation on it. So let's, yeah, right in there. There again, this looks as broad as what we're seeing right now. So it may have been stronger when it was back just to the northeast of Corsicana crossing I-45. But at this point, it looks like it's kind of gusted out a little bit. We do see some rain or wind and rain going back toward the radar and then away from the radar. So there's a bit of a circulation there, but again, that's just a severe thunderstorm warning. All right, let's come back up to our tornado warned storm in Henderson County, northwest of Moore Station. There's Palestine. Okay, now we're going to continue the tornado warning until 9 o'clock on this cell. So 9 o'clock for, I believe that is going to be southern Van Zant County and northeastern Henderson County. So they're not giving up on this yet. All right, let's see. Shreveport, no. Tornado warning, radar indicated, and some 1.5 inch sized hail, so some big hail in that storm. Henderson, Van Zant County till 9 p.m. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Brownsboro or 11 miles northeast of Athens. It's now moving to the east at about 40 miles an hour. So that's a new update on this cell here. This hail is at least quarter-sized hail. We may even have some bigger hail than that within that. And it looks like quite a bit of it. So Murchison, we may have the ground covered in hail out of that cell at some point. But that's going to continue as this portion of the cell continues. It's right in here. This is the rear flanking line that is coming out as the winds are rushing downward. So you have additional thunderstorms forming back there on the flanking line. So it's got the energy to produce tornadoes, but right now we don't see anything that's been reported out of that. Brownsboro is also in that, so please, I know we don't have anything confirmed on the ground, but please get to your safe place. Ride this out that way. Same holds true for Edom. And Murchison right now is just sitting in that. Leagueville is going to be just outside the polygon. We always say respect the polygon, and the polygon now goes right up to Smith County. So right up to Smith County. This is, I believe, 31 coming out of Chandler toward Brownsboro. Let's zoom in on that just a little bit so I can confirm that. Yeah, 31. 31 coming out toward Opelika, toward Brownsboro, and then you just see tremendous amounts of lightning as if you were driving, you know anybody that was traveling on 31, they got to Chandler, I'd have them head toward Shelter. Shelter up now, don't drive into that cell. So you call them on their cell phone, tell them to get off the road. You don't want them to be driving into that. Over here toward Tyler, we're getting some rain on Spur 364 into downtown. The rain's just moving into the northwest and west side of Tyler right now. Again, not severe here. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Smith County, but I don't believe that Smith County or Tyler is currently in that warning. Will probably be before we're said and done. We have that other portion of the warning up here to the north, toward Hawkins, toward Pritchett, up toward Gilmer. This was a tornado-warned storm earlier in Van Zant County. That's moved to the east, and it looks like it's weakened a little bit. This cell down here toward Gun Barrel City, southwest of Gun Barrel City, that it is reported to have done some damage near when it was back toward Corsicana. A camper flipped over, some homes damaged. So there may have been a small tornado that was briefly produced with the tail end of this cell. So that's a little concerning. That's also headed toward a portion of Henderson County. So our cell that we have right now, warned here for the next 35 minutes. Edom is likely seeing some larger hail. There's hail the size quarter or bigger, maybe closer to some ping pong ball sized hail, though I've not seen any pictures to confirm that and have not heard from anything from the Weather Service, from spotters in the field confirming that. But there is a lot of lightning here, so this is a very strong updraft. So we got a lot of wind flowing in and then rising into that thunderstorm. So it's a pretty strong, probably well-structured thunderstorm that we simply can't see because of it being nighttime. But trust me, it is a stronger thunderstorm, so that is for sure. All right, I'm just checking the National Weather Service and seeing if there's anything that I can share with you that they are sharing. And at this point, we still have the severe thunderstorm warning for Camp Smith, Upshur, and Wood County. That goes till 8:45, so that's about another 15 minutes. And then we have the tornado warned storm that we've been talking about coming out of Henderson County. And out of Henderson County, this has been moving east at 40 miles an hour. That cell is, capable of producing a tornado. It certainly is when you look at it. But right now, we showed you just video of when this cell was out by Gun Barrel City. So this is the same cell that was toward Gun Barrel City that had the lowering, and it had a definite hail core on it. That was visible in that video. And that hail core is likely right to the southwest of Edom right now. There it is, so west of Edom. So if you live in Edom and you have a car that's parked outside, doesn't have a carport or is not sheltered, you want to get that car into that carport as soon as possible because you likely have some at least quarter-sized hail headed in your direction as this cell moves eastward. 40 miles an hour, so let's put a new track on that just to give everybody an idea. It has a little bit of an overlap, though that portion of the tornado warning that it's overlapping, this portion back here will expire at 8:30, so this will be the new portion that goes until 9 o'clock. So that's going to be the hail. This is going to be where the hail is out to the east at 40 miles an hour. So this will give you an idea of when the hail gets to you, if that cell remains as strong as it is. Notice again, these cells back here are trying to catch up to it. If it overtakes it, it'll absorb it, and then we'll be better off in terms of just straight line winds and lessening the tornado threat with that. So Tyler Pounds, if you live around the airport, you're looking at about 8:42 for the potential for some hail. Tyler about 8:51. Bascom right around 9 o'clock, New Chapel Hill just after 9, Browning about 9:10, and Overton about 9:30. So that's going to be this cell here that we have the concern with. All of this gray that you see in here, that is a solid hail core. In fact, if we turned off everything and just looked at hail, we'd likely see a hail track that came out of Gun Barrel City and moved all the way over to here. At the same time, remember, this is a tornado-warned storm in northeastern parts of Henderson County. So you'll see there it is. And there is some bigger hail here north of Henderson, and that's leading right up to where we just showed you. So there's some good-sized hail in this. There was a large hail near Rice toward Gun Barrel City, just to the north of Harrison, just up to Brownsboro. So in that dark red area, or dark blue area, that's typically where we start getting into some egg hen-sized hail. Maybe below that, just a little bit of ping pong to golf ball-sized hail in that lighter blue area. So there was definitely some hail size. There it is, one just over quarter size, so about ping pong ball sized hail. About 1.5 would be closer to golf ball size. So that's certainly what we're seeing there, and that's headed toward Brownsboro and eventually to the east. So if this held together, if that hail core held together, that would move toward Tyler and Tyler Pounds toward Chandler, the north end of Lake Palestine. So if you can get anything you want protected from hail out of the way, do that right now. Do it quickly because you'll want to be back inside if we get additional warnings before that hailstone gets there. But that's where that portion of the cell is. Okay, so now this heavier rain's moving into Tyler. This part of the line is trying to catch up. So this is what we want. We have a tornado warned cell, but if that gets absorbed back into the line, then our main concern will shift to straight line winds at 60 to 70 miles an hour. Still some curious features on this. There's the inflow notch. There's the updraft, so that's all supportive of the large hail that we're seeing. The flanking line is back here. All right, we're seeing what's trying to become a tornado east of Murchison. But again, that's going to be where the updraft is coming in. We're the flanking downdraft, so we would keep an eye right in there near Murchison. Edom has some hail also coming through. You don't see a ton of circulation right now out of our velocity check here. But that warning for the tornado now goes until 9 o'clock. That's the only tornado warning in place at this time. So let's see, another severe for Henderson, Navarro, Anderson County. These storms near, I believe it is pronounced Karens, are most intense at the moment with winds at 65 miles an hour and hail over 1 inch. All right, so this is going to be down here. This is tornado. This is going to, so they're going to have a severe thunderstorm warning now for the southern half of Henderson, for Anderson County, and almost just knocking on the door here into Smith and Cherokee County. So that's the part of the cell that may have done some damage. This is a tornado tag on this. There is some hail reported with that and 65 mile an hour winds. So there are some strong wind gusts coming out of this portion of the cell. This is moving to generally to the east, I believe at, let's see, let me get a little feel for that. That goes until 9:30. That severe thunderstorm warning on that data should be moving east at, I'm trying to get a bearing on that movement. It's probably in that order of 40 to 45 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. Okay, so if we can track that for 40 miles an hour and give kind of everybody an idea of where this is going to be, this portion of the cell. So draw the line from right here and come to the southeast toward that polygon toward Coffee City. So that'll give us an idea of where the 65 mile an hour winds and the at least quarters, not come down this way. It's more southeast. It's more down into here where the polygon is shaped out. So let's draw it down more to that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it should be right in here where we're going to see these cities. So I think Cayuga's in there. You're going to see Elmwood, Berryville. That is going to move through Athens. Athens is in the space of that cell currently, and that will continue down toward Jacksonville if it held together. And if it holds together, it would make it all the way to Rusk in a couple of hours. But again, I think this is part of the line that it's trying to, congeal with this supercell out ahead of it. If that happens, then we're going to get a straight line of thunderstorms coming down through here. May have to start that scan over and widen that out just a little bit. Looks like it's bumping against the bottom of the screen. Down in here, we may have an overlay here that's causing some issues where when it's running into that, it won't play it out, or it won't play out the track. Look at all that lightning down there. That's in southwestern parts of Henderson County. Again, this is moving southeast at 40 miles an hour. So as that tracks that direction, the concern here is for 40, or I should say 65 mile an hour winds and some quarter-sized hail, inch and a quarter-sized hail on that cell, maybe some ping pong ball-sized hail as that tracks southeastward. So, all right, let me see what's going on here with this. All right, so Athens to Crossroads to LaRue, Pointer in general. Here's Crossroads, there's Cayuga, there's Athens, there's Pointer. So you have about 45 minutes here, 65 mile an hour winds coming at you in portions of, and we're back to basketball with Louisiana and Tennessee now, where we have these cells moving into Anderson County and into western parts of even Cherokee County if it would hold together. Those dashed lines, again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning with the tag on it where it could be possibly have a tornado. There was some damage reported out near Corsicana earlier this evening, not long ago, about a half hour ago. A camper tipped over, some damage to homes. So that's why this has a particular concern for straight line wind damage. Meantime, we continue to watch that cell as it moves now to the northeast of Athens. Athens skirted around that cell, but it looks like the strong winds are eventually going to get down to Athens. All right, so let's clear that out, and then we'll zoom in down there on Athens and on that line and kind of look at some of the areas that it's moving into. Again, it's sharpening up. So as that sharpens up, there are some strong winds. Malakoff right now is sitting right inside maybe some hail, some ping pong ball sized hail. The storm has moved into Athens, so let us know what you're experiencing in Athens. Crossroads is next. Round Prairie is likely seeing some very strong winds. Bradford, Brushy Creek, Frankston, and Moore Station are all in this severe thunderstorm warned area. That red polygon continues to be the tornado warned portion of the storm. And that is still going on until 9 o'clock. That was extended. Let's see. And from the National Weather Service over in Shreveport, and we've kind of been concentrating on these storms to the west, we have heard some pea-sized hail in the city of Gilmer, and Harrison County getting a call of a tree on a power line at 214 Sequoia Drive, and that was just about 5 minutes ago. So even over into Harrison County, there are some strong winds at this point. There are some very heavy rainfall rates also near in north of Gilmer. So let's leave this storm for a second and go up here toward Gilmer into these cells here. So that cell right there at Gilmer is severe warned storm, so it has severe thunderstorm warning on it, but heavy rain just north of Gilmer, pea-sized hail in the city of Gilmer. And let's track this on this leading edge here, and that's also moving eastward at about 40 miles an hour. So as that moves east, it will be able to give an idea of where the possibility of some pea-sized hail, some very heavy rainfall. The rainfall rates have been exceedingly heavy in that area. So that's headed toward Ore City in about 13 minutes. Spring Hill in about 23 minutes. Harleton at 9:06, Berea 9:17, Jefferson at 9:22. That's this cell here that is east of Oak Grove, northeast of Lindale. Look at all that heavy rain. Right now it's moving in, it's going through Gilmer right now. Heavy rainfall, eastern parts of Wood, western Upshur County, and moving eastward. There's Lafayette, there's Ore City. So it's right about 10 minutes away from Ore City, and it will move in. You'll see also this leading edge here probably has some very strong wind with it. Just looking at that radar signature, I would expect 60-mile-an-hour winds on top of that. This will likely get warned downstream for Harrison and Marion County, maybe even a portion of Gregg County. We have the Smith County storm here in the city of Tyler in that cell that says tornado possible, okay? So it's got a tag on it. Doesn't mean that you're under a tornado warning, but in this instance, I would go to my shelter if I lived in Smith County and in Tyler and in Troop. And just a reminder that we are on the air live at this time for severe weather, and that includes our radio partners, 106.5 Jack FM, Kicks 105.7, 104 The Ranch, and Live Vasora 96.7. We're going to return to normal programming when this threat has passed, more likely when this tornado warning is allowed to expire. And at this point, we still have not had any confirmation of any type of tornado on the ground. It's been radar indicated the entire time. That's the best kind of a tornado warning. And I know a lot of folks will sometimes complain, well, you just repeat yourself, because we don't have any confirmation of anything on the ground. It would be different if you could see, especially at night. So this is a matter of putting safety first. We can zoom down all the way here toward Brownsboro and go very tight into this and kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. So back here toward Murchison, you can see this little appendage, and there's the updraft. So it's trying to form a little downdraft here toward Leagueville as it continues moving to the east. If we turned on velocity, and the lightning has come down in this cell appreciably. So, unless this strengthens, I can't imagine this tornado warning going past 9 o'clock. And this just does not look like it has anything it was stronger earlier. It was more indicative or supportive of a possible tornado. But as we go back to reflectivity, what this may end up being here, and well, probably not, but I was going to say it may be where we get a little hail scatter. And so that's what that's picking up, where there's so much hail inside this cell, and that might be what it is. There's so much hail within this cell north of Brownsboro that as the radar beam comes out and hits that, it scatters and sends it in three different directions, back toward the radar, down toward the ground, and out to one side. And so it looks like it's a tornado or a hook echo, when in fact all it is what is considered an artifact or a bad piece of data. So, but it's a strong enough cell that certainly right in here, right, there's a very, very weak circulation at this time. We're about 20 minutes out from the warning expiring. I don't know that the Weather Service will allow it to expire. Chandler, by the way, is in that portion of the tornado warning right now. So in Chandler, I would head to my safe place and stay there till at least 9 o'clock and see what happens here. All right. This is from the National Weather Service. I'm going to read through this as we just try to kind of, I'm kind of going along, and trying to, fill you in on TV. At the same time, I'm trying to read and digest what we're seeing here. So the Weather Service is saying supercell cluster starting to congeal, as I pointed out earlier, with the linear complex along the cold front. For the time being, the complex across Texas continues to be ahead of the boundary, but it may not be long before the cold front undercuts the line. Oh, this would be great news. And the wind becomes the primary threat, not ruling out downstream embedded spin-ups at this time. If that wind was the threat, and the cold front could continue to undercut these showers and thunderstorms, they would elevate them. And so that means they would not become surface-based. So anywhere along the line, initially, that would really lessen the tornado threat. So the Weather Service is still concerned about deep East Texas, where out ahead of maybe that main line of showers and thunderstorms, we would have more of a concern. So I think eventually, we are just, they need to go ahead and just cancel that warning right now, because that's just getting ingested into the line, and then we can cover this with severe thunderstorm warnings for sure the rest of the way. But you can see heavier rain coming in right now into Tyler, into northwestern parts of Smith County. Lindale right now getting a heavy thunderstorm west of Starrville. In fact, let's zoom in on that portion of that storm toward Lindale right in here. And as we do, there are several severe thunderstorm warnings going on right now. And I would expect as the rest of the evening unfolds, we'll likely have severe thunderstorm warnings from the most northern counties in our viewing area all the way down. In fact, Savannah, can you widen things out and just give everybody kind of a perspective? You can already see we've got several counties. Camp County is included in that, Upshur, Woods, Smith County also all the way down through Anderson County. The line is growing downscale or downstream toward Waco, upstream from Mount Pleasant to the Red River. So this is all going to become a line of thunderstorms that will march to the south and to the southeast. The strongest cell that was over deep East Texas toward Hemp Hill has moved away. We still have some showers and thunderstorms down toward center. We'll zoom in again just to give you that one more look at that tornado warning on that cell, and only because it's just west of Smith County. And otherwise, it just looks like, we probably could go off air and not be concerned about it, but just because it's west of Smith County, it could be going through a recycling phase where it starts to spin up something a little bit stronger than that. On the leading edge of that, it does look like there's maybe some strong winds gusting out. Maybe we can go back to velocity here and then just straight velocity. And on straight velocity, maybe we can just sample some of that wind there using the question mark where we look inside that cell. We might just be able to pick up some wind strength here on the leading edge out around Brownsboro. Again, that warning goes until 9 o'clock. We'll probably have to turn off the warnings and then just kind of see what's going on. So those winds coming into Moore Station, the velocity on this suggests it's about 40 miles an hour. That's good. That's one area. There could be other areas that we'll sample here. We can sample a couple of different ones and see what we can find out. Closer to Brownsboro, you'll see 30-mile-an-hour wind. This is just an indication of, on that cell, the type of wind speeds that we're seeing. There's 34. So yeah, roughly 30 to 38 miles an hour within this cell here as it moves along that. So that's really not that bad on the leading edge of those storms. So even though those reflectivity looked like it was perhaps a little bit worse than what it really is. So we're good there. Tyler, this just looks like straight up winds. Nothing gusty here, not to say that there won't be. We do have some stronger winds out to the west that are still trying to come in. But if we can keep this at 30, 35, 40 miles an hour, that would be good news. That is below severe limits, but there are indications within the radar that there could be some stronger wind gusts. All right, so again, severe thunderstorm warning till 9:30. That's going for Smith County. That's all of Smith County. White House is included in that. Browning, Winona, Flint, Bullard, even Overton. Tyler certainly is included in that. Swan is included in that. Lindale, Tyler Pounds, Noonday, New Chapel Hill, anywhere in Smith County. If you live in Smith County, you have a severe thunderstorm warning right now till 9:30. Tornado warning goes until 9 o'clock. It's another 15 minutes. That continues to be this cell here that we've been watching as it moves into Smith County. It's getting ingested or pulled back into the line of thunderstorms. It's all congealing together. And so once this it morphs into a line of thunderstorms, then our concern will be straight line winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. So this warning started way out in Henderson County, and this cell has just been slowly moving to the east. We had the Van Zant County warning earlier. Let's go to the north, and I'll show you what happened to that cell. That cell was headed toward Mineola, but that cell has now become this severe thunderstorm warned cell. Well, not even a severe thunderstorm warning anymore, up toward Gilmer and Mineola. Even though we've had pea-sized hail in here, some wind gusts, but it is no longer warned, I believe, at this time. The warning is just down here to the south and to the southwest. So Edom is still in that tornado warning, so is Brownsboro, but it looks like the main portion of that circulation is moving out of Brownsboro and moving to the east. So you can see this is the back end. These are the thunderstorms toward Mount Martin's Mill, part of the line of showers and thunderstorms that should overtake this cell. And then as it overtakes that cell, then we'll start to see that transition to those stronger straight line gusts that are closer to 60 or 65 miles an hour. So we'll continue with our coverage until we can get past this tornado warning, until they allow this to expire. It's just west of Smith County right now, so there is some concern that if it was to suddenly kind of re-energize or recycle or give us another sort of just a little spurt of energy, that we'd have maybe more of a tornado warning. And we did have perhaps east of Corsicana earlier on that cell there, some damage reported with that cell. But notice again, it's sort of lining up. It was sitting by itself as it was back here just to the east of Corsicana. And as it got kind of ingested or pulled back into the line of showers and thunderstorms, now it's producing possibly 65-mile-an-hour winds. I have not heard of any 65-mile-an-hour winds being verified at this time out of that. We're still getting quite a bit. Oh, they're going to continue the tornado warning coming for Smith, and it will include Tyler. So we now have a tornado warning here in Smith County, and that tornado warning for Smith County, including the city of Tyler, is going to go until at 8:46, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Chandler, or 10 miles west of Tyler, moving to the east at 40 miles an hour. So this goes until 9:15. So we are just going to continue this tornado warning until 9:15. That's that same cell that we've been tracking all the way along. All right, let's take a look outside. This is our Tyler camera looking to the north. What we see when we look to the north from our camera, if we can call that up, will be a sharp line. You'll be able, and some lightning that's also being produced at this time. So that lightning, I don't know if, let me see if I can get in front of this here. No, I can't. And that, again, that's going to be looking up toward Wood and Upshur County. So that's up looking north up Broadway. So that's not necessarily going to give us the view that we would be looking at. Maybe if we can turn our other, or put our other camera on looking westward, we might be able to, and I'll switch this for us real fast here. This is going to be our CBS19 studio camera looking westward. I'll switch that for us and see if we can see anything coming in from the west. There's quite a bit of lightning right now. So there's the lower clouds that you might be able to see on the horizon here, right in here. Okay, and the lightning's that's lighting up behind it. So this is going to be just the whole, probably if it was daylight, it's probably a shelf cloud. A shelf cloud is where the warmer air is rising as the cooler air is descending through the thunderstorm, and it forms this cloud. It's not a wall cloud. Can't confuse it with that. But it can be a shelf cloud will announce, and then you'll get the strong wind gusts that come out with this. So that's what we're looking at. This, again, is from our CBS19 studio camera. This is the loop going west where it meets Troop, and then the loop going east, and then Troop north. So this is looking out over, if you're familiar with this area, the Walmart is there, the Walmart neighborhood mart. Go down to Biloxi down here, so you're looking out over the Andy Woods neighborhood, and so that's kind of coming in from the west and from the southwest. In fact, if I turned it a little bit farther, yeah, that's pretty much where it's coming in from the west. All right, so let's go back to the radar. We'll go back to this different times. This tornado warning goes until 9:15. So the other part of the tornado warning for Brownsboro goes until 9. So, and then this is going to go until 9:15 for Tyler. And again, it's because we still have a lot of lightning here. We still have a lot of strength in this supercell, and it continues to move to the east. So noonday is in that polygon, and so noonday you need to be in your shelter. You also need to be in your shelter in the city of Tyler right now, and in White House, and in New Chapel Hill, and over toward Browning, because it's just outside of that. So Chandler now popping up inside of that. The cell's right over top of Chandler. Savannah, let's track that to the east. I think 40 miles an hour again is the direction that's moving. It's been pretty consistent. My concern here would be for some strong, damaging straight line winds. And then along the straight line winds, we'd have an embedded circulation, because we just haven't been able to see anything that has indicated anything, and we haven't heard any reports of any damage. And this isn't the portion of the cell that was down near Corsicana. But anyway, so we've got about 7 minutes till it's right in the city of Tyler. And when that moves in, we'll be able to give you a look at it with our tower cam. Bascom 906, White House at about 9:11. So there's White House, and then Browning, Overton, Kilgore, and Lakeport through about 9:49. So that's going to take it all the way through East Texas. Murchison, you are in the clear. That cell has left. You do not have to worry about it. Chandler, you have another few minutes in your safe place, and then you will be able to come out of your shelter. Swan, right now, you're north of that circulation, so if you live up toward Swan, certainly up toward Lindale, you're okay. White House, I'd be a little concerned there. Teaselsville, Flint, Bullard, be in your safe place, because that cell is moving right in to those areas here within the next 15 to 20 minutes. You can see so White House is about at 9:11, so that's going to put it right in also. Teaselsville likely before then, and Flint likely before that, and Bullard probably about the same time frame, so about 10 to 15 minutes. Then that cell will pass. But once that cell passes through, your threat is over for the night. It's not a long-lasting threat for severe thunderstorms tonight. But once you get into them, you have the warning for about a half hour. Once it passes, for instance, Martins Mill, you're in the clear for the rest of the night. We'll widen things out just to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that this is the line now of showers and thunderstorms that's forming. In fact, let's widen this out and get some perspective on this. We still have that tornado warning for Smith County till 9:15. That's the only warning that we have at this time. Mineola is clearing out, so see, it clears out behind the line. So Kaufman, Canton, Terrell, Quitman, Mineola, Picton, Pittsburgh, you are in the clear for the rest of the night. No worries. If you live in Troop, Henderson, Longview, Cushing, Rusk, Palestine, Carthage, Marshall, you have to wait on the storm. When it gets there, you got a half hour, you're getting beaten down by the wind, the rain, the lightning, and then it's gone, and then your threat is over. And then it continues moving to the east. So the only good news here is that when you get into the thunderstorms like we are now in Tyler, when the thunderstorms get south and east, you're done. You're done for the night, okay? And Henderson County still dealing with that. Athens is about to come out of the severe thunderstorms. Maybank, you are done for the night. Canton also done with the severe weather threat. So just to give you an idea, maybe maybe just kind of put your mind at ease if you live out toward Corsicana, Maybank, or Canton, that you just are finished. Palestine, you just have to wait on the line of thunderstorms to get there. Same holds true in Rusk. And Coffee City, you're just about to get into the worst of the storm. Troop is about 20 minutes, 25 minutes away from getting into the worst of this. And then Henderson would also be about an hour away from getting there. Starting to hear some heavy rain coming down here at the studio. Savannah, can we track the whole line moving it's now starting to move sort of east. I think the whole line is kind of moving east-southeast now. You can put it into motion real quick and give us an idea of where the direction and movement of it. It looks like now it's starting to take on more of a southeasterly push. So we'll stop that. We'll track the whole thing southeast at roughly 40 miles an hour. This thing is really going to race through here now for the rest of the night. So we've now made that transition from supercells to more of a line of thunderstorms. And so as that moves southeast, let's see, we'll be able to give you an idea of like when it moves into Henderson and Jacksonville and Palestine. So White Oak at 8:58. So in about 4 minutes, that is going to arrive in White Oak. It'll last about a half hour. So by 9:30, White Oak, you should be in the clear. Harleton gets there at 9:07, should be in the clear no later than 9:45. Longview, about 9:14. I think you'll be in the clear by 10 o'clock. Jefferson should be in the clear by 10:30. Palestine arriving there at 9:35, and then it's going to take a little while to get through there, so maybe by 11 o'clock. And Marshall and Jacksonville. Jacksonville should get there at 9:48. It's going to take a little while to clear on out of there. But, yeah, you could definitely see if we put that back into motion again, and then we'll concentrate on the Smith County tornado warn portion of the storm. But you could definitely see how it was, these cells were moving west to east, but now watch these cells moving southeastward. So they've caught up, and now they're going to start to drive everything south and eastward. And so we'll see a definite transition to a line of thunderstorms here, and their concerns will be for wind gusts that will top 60 or 65 miles an hour. So this is the official warning coming from the National Weather Service for Smith County. Radar indicated for Smith till 9:15. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing the tornado was located near Chandler or 10 miles west of Tyler. All right, report from the National Weather Service in Sabine County, that's in Louisiana. They had reports of hail. 39-mile-an-hour winds in Chandler and heavy rain. That comes to us from a ham operator. And we're looking for some updates. Let's see. Shreveport senior forecaster says the circulation went right over Chandler community. Storm may be a little elevated, but it's hard to tell. So, yeah, it really is hard to tell. But Savannah and I had sampled some of the winds inside that, and we'd only come away with 30, 34 miles an hour. So, yeah, so that's a pretty good sample, and Weather Service confirms what we were showing you. So let's do that again. Let's go back to velocity. We'll zoom in on some of these, the line here as it moves into Tyler, and the tornado sirens are going off in Tyler because we have the tornado warning. Let's sample some of what is right in here underneath that lightning. That's where the strong updraft is. There's likely some very strong updraft inside that lightning. And that was just at 8:56 on that heavy rainfall. You might have to remove the lightning to get down and kind of bear down on that. It looks like there's a little red area there. Okay, so that's just to the west of Tyler. So that's the circulation embedded, but our gate-to-gate shear right now on that is only 38 miles an hour with the velocity much weaker than that. But let's zoom in, let's drill down on that velocity couplet there, that red and green, and kind of get an idea of where that is. So if we kind of zoom tightly, so that's right by the airport right now, okay? There's spur 364, and we've got a couple of, let's see, we've got Garden Valley Road. So that's right on FM 2661, just to the north of Highway 31 and south of Highway 64. So if you live out by the airport, there's a few nice neighborhoods north of the airport. That circulation is passing right overhead at this time. So that's headed toward County Road 1125, County Road 1143. And so that's right here. And then here are those county roads I just mentioned. These are the neighborhoods right here as it comes up toward 64, comes up toward the loop where it meets the loop, and 31 where it comes up and also meets the loop. So it's kind of splitting that area right in there and moving eastward. So this is the area of concern. This is the circulation right over top of the airport. Should get a good feel for the wind speeds as it crosses over the airport here in a few minutes. There is a National Weather Service ASOS site out there, an automated surface observation system site at the airport. So that should tell us what those winds are like as it crosses over. So it's just riding along 35. There's toll 49, so it's crossing right over toll 49 out in that area. If you are in this area where that circulation is passing, please go to your shelter right now. So Hillendale Road, for instance, now's the time to head to that shelter. Take your CBS19 app with you, take your radio with you, your NOAA weather radio with you, and follow along in this coverage. Of course, we are going wall to wall, so on our radio partners, But you can also follow and watch along on our CBS19 app. And if you are going to that shelter, let's make sure that it is that lowest room, lowest floor of your house or your apartment, or if you can get down there and it has no windows. If it doesn't have any windows, that's all the better. So that circulation is right in here. There's Spur 364, there's Chandler. That circulation had passed right over Chandler, but it was really hard to tell exactly what was going on. Of course, we're after dark now, and it's being obscured, I'm sure, also by rain. If there's anything in that circulation here by pounds, it's likely wrapped in some rain. That oftentimes happens here in East Texas. We get these high precipitation events that make it difficult to pick out features in the thunderstorms and in the tornadoes that can maybe better give us an idea of what exactly is that we're seeing. So we're relying on radar. We're going to see if we can get any more ham radio operator, some Skywarn spotters that can give us some more eyeballs on that storm as it crosses. All right, Henderson County Sheriff telling us no damage to report there. So that cell went all the way through Henderson County with no damage. That's good news, okay? So maybe that's how this plays out here in Smith County with this tornado warning. So there it is, FM 279. There's FM 1145. It's crossing right over that area toward the airport. We're going to get a new scan here in a couple of minutes, and so this will jump to the east. And it has weakened at times, and it's strengthened back up. But here's the good news. We don't have any reports of any damage. It is headed, if it continues in this direction, it's going to head right toward downtown Tyler. Now, we still have a lot of frayed nerves from last April 12th when we had 100-mile-an-hour straight-line winds move through the Azalea District. This is a little bit of a different situation. We had a well-formed line of thunderstorms, and it was much later at night. This is still somewhat of a supercellular thunderstorm that's being absorbed into the line. And so this has a possibility of putting down a brief tornado, but also if this eventually gets absorbed back into the line, then what we would eventually be looking at are some strong straight line wind gusts in excess of 70 miles an hour. So that's where it is currently. And again, that tornado warning goes until 9:15 for Smith County. So if you're hearing sirens, and those are outdoor warning sirens, they're not really designed to warn us inside our homes, but they are loud enough that we hear them inside our homes. But the sirens are going off, and if anyone's out driving and they hear the sirens, hopefully they are looking for some shelter. Also some hail. And again, I told you we will get reports from the airport on this hail, and you can see the amount of lightning that is also flashing with this cell. So this is a strong cell. Lightning tells us a couple of things. Rainfall rates, when it increases, the rainfall rates are increasing. Oftentimes when you have a ton of lightning like this, you're getting rainfall rates of greater than 2 inches an hour. The hail would tell us that there's a lot of ice. So what would be happening there is you're getting a lot of positive charged particles with the ice, negative charged particles, or perhaps positive charged particles with the raindrops, negative charged particles with the ice. And so it's just a conducive lightning field, and so we're seeing a lot of that. In fact, if we go back to our studio camera here, we'll be able to see that lightning show that's going on right now. There it is, right on cue. So a lot of lightning also coming into the CBS19 studio camera. All right, so one of the things we have to be concerned about here, we have positive charged lightning, which is only 5% of all of the lightning strikes, but it comes from higher up in the thunderstorms, often from the anvil. And these are the strikes that can start fires. So if we have positive charged lightning out there, and we probably do tonight with all the hail that's in the sky and in these clouds, we'll have to be very careful that we don't have any kind of fire started by a lightning strike. Hopefully the lightning will flash again and illuminate what I believe is the shelf cloud coming right in here. Again, shelf cloud, not to be confused with a wall cloud. The shelf cloud is a lowering out on the flanking edge or the front edge of the thunderstorms, and it's where the warm, humid air is rising, meeting the cold, descending air, and of course you get condensation. So net condensation, outpacing net evaporation, and you get the clouds right here in that leading edge. So that's what that would look like. Oftentimes they can be a little scary. In the daytime, they're picturesque. They are just absolutely gorgeous things to see and shoot, and it looks like that's what we have here. I could just see the flatter edge here, and then this nice rounded edge. So we have the shelf cloud coming in to the west side. If we go back to radar, I'll show you what this is, what it looks like there. And then what it would look like is this right here, this feature likely here because we're in this vicinity on the loop down in here. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing this very leading edge right here, so that's the shelf cloud. So that's, again, not a wall cloud, even though it looks lower. And then that shelf cloud extends all the way down into noonday. So that tornado warning is going now for 11 more minutes. We'll see if it gets extended to the east. Again, there have been no reports of any type of damage or tornadoes associated with this. Pea-sized hail in multiple locations in Smith County being reported. Let's see. The sirens were going off in the city. Let's see. Storm was 5 miles south of Tyler Pounds. Okay. So that's what we had relayed to you before. I'm just going through what the National Weather Service is saying. Tough to say if the circulation is weakened as they cannot see below the beam height over the city. So they're going to continue the tornado warning. So we have to continue this tornado warning here in Smith County. They just can't tell. You can see the hail, though, at noonday and at Chandler. And so the hail core, the hail size has come down a little bit. If you get pictures of hail and you can safely share those with us, you can upload those using the Near Me function on our app, or you can email us, weather@cbs19.tv. So if you can safely get pictures of hail, go ahead and do that, send that in, because it does look like we have some hail coming in with these storms at this time. And the lightning has just been tremendous. Doesn't sound real loud right now, at least outside the studio. May get louder here in a second, but we are seeing a lot of flashes in the nighttime sky. And again, as I tell you, and Savannah will widen this out, this will give us I want to give you the perspective here. So this is the line of severe weather. So in Canton, it's over for the night. In fact, if we look back up here to the northwest, soon it's going to be over at Gilmer. So right now, I would say the Gilmer threat is over for the night. You're just getting rain. Mineola, that's just rain. All the way up to Mount Pleasant, this is just rain. Now, overnight, when this line moves to the southeast, there will be another wave that will come up, and we'll drop the temperatures into the upper 30s, and you'll wake up to a cold rain tomorrow behind this very strong cold front. This is a strong cold front, considering that you have temperatures going from 68 or 70 today down to 38 or 39 overnight. So that's a strong front, and along that strong front, you get all that lift in the atmosphere, and think of it like a shovel. There's some thunder outside. Think of it like a shovel. We kind of push that into some snow, and we can lift it. The bigger the shovel or the stronger the shovel, the more we can lift. So we lift a lot more, even if it was sand or something like that. If you have a bigger shovel, you can lift more sand. And so if that's happening with a cold front, it's lifting more air, and the more air that you can lift, the more it can cool, condense, and into showers and thunderstorms. So that's essentially what we have here. All right, let's zoom back into Tyler. We're starting to hear some heavy rain, and we'll take a look outside and correlate this. Now, many of you living to the north, on the northwest side of Tyler are like, yeah, we already know that. But you can see that heavy rain coming down with the lightning, and then we take a look outside with our camera, our CBS19 studio camera, and you'll see how heavy. See, that has reduced the visibility. It's obscuring visibility, dropping visibility all the way down here into that quarter-mile range. And we'll wait and see if we get some wind coming in with that. Sounded like it. There's a little bit of a delay from when the camera gets down, goes through our system, and then gets spit out. So it sounds like there's quite a bit of wind. Now you'll start to see the rattling of the camera here in just a second. So these are strong winds, probably in excess. Now we had sampled about 39 to 40 miles an hour. That looks about, that could be a little bit stronger than that. You can see the way the wind is blowing the rain across the street, across the loop looking west. Look at that. That is just blowing it that way. You can hear the wind also outside, probably your house. We continue that tornado warning till 9:15, but this is the worst part of the storm crossing over Tyler right now. So just listening to it hit the roof here at the TV station. All right, let's go back to the radar. So this is essentially what we're experiencing right here. That portion of the storm as it moves down, because we're right in here, and then there's troop going toward White House or 110. So that is really, there may be some tree damage, maybe some minor, roof or shingle damage around the house. Okay, I'm just trying to find out. There was a report from media of a tornado on the ground, West Loop 323 near the Cascades. So that's unconfirmed. We don't know that right now. So we'll wait and see, but please get to your shelter if you can. So the West Loop, this is going to be out going west toward the Cascades. Savannah, let's widen that out, and let's go back to velocity. Cascades are going to be out like on the west, going west on the loop. So let's find the loop. We need to go down here and find this. The loop is going to be right in. That's the spur. Sounds like some hail coming down here. So 110, there's the loop. So it's going to be right in here. So let's see if velocity, well, see now the circulation looks like it's crossed across, would have come right up over downtown Tyler. And so it would be on the northeast side of town. We have hail hitting the cameras right now outside. So we have hail right here at the TV station. We can hear it hitting the roof. And you can see that circulation looks like it's crossed over now to the north, on the northeast side of town. We're still getting hit with some really strong winds here. Can we sample some of the wind? We have the tornado warning going till 9:15 for Smith County. Let's sample some of that wind. Sample that wind around the red area and then next to the green and see what we come up with in terms of our wind speeds. So 53 miles an hour, so that's pretty strong. And I would think our camera verified that as it moved overhead. Sample some other areas around that. I'm just looking outside, you know. Look at that on, I think if you could look at Camp Street, yeah, that would be one of those areas. If we did, okay, we're back to 17 miles an hour. So 53 is about what we sampled. But if you look outside here from our camera again, you're going to see a lot of wind and rain occurring at this time. So there's the wind, and the wind is just really kind of blowing that rain around. And this has lasted now a good 5 to 10 minutes as we continue that tornado warning. We're also hearing some hail that is coming down currently. So there's some thunder, some lightning. Have not had anything confirmed by spotters on the ground toward the Cascades. Let's flip to, let's go over to our debris tracker, our correlation coefficient. Oh, there's something down there. So this is on the southwest side of town there. There may be some damage right in here. Okay, so right here toward Spur 364, Broadway Square Mall, this may be a little debris ball, so there may be a tornado on the ground around Tyler right now, or at least some strong straight line winds that are causing that. Let's go back to velocity real quick. If it is, it's a quick spin up. It's not showing anything. It looks like it's jumped up there. It doesn't mean that the debris, go back to the debris tracker. So we need you to be in your safe place no matter where you are in Tyler. And it looks like this area here off Old Noonday Road might have just been hit by something. And that's going to move us up into the southeast side of town. We'll go back to the reflectivity. We just want to go through our reflectivity and widen this out because that doesn't look like we're getting another. Okay, there could be something. Well, that wouldn't have given us. Now go back to velocity. This is really, if there was anything, it would be right in here. It does correlate with some damage, so it doesn't mean there couldn't have been some straight line winds that did some damage out in the southwest side of town in Tyler here tonight. So let's go back outside to our camera, and I'll show you as we have just a lot of rainfall. And look at that. So the wind is almost just blowing vertically, or horizontally, I should say, across the area. Very strong at this time. So, and that sounds like some larger hail coming down through the area. And we're hearing that here. You're probably hearing it where you live right now. Let's go back. I'm trying to find out from the Weather Service. Yeah, so the Weather Service is saying go back to that debris area. So the Weather Service is saying this could be anything. But so it doesn't necessarily mean that that is a debris signature, just because we saw on the rotation, it just didn't match up. But just looking at that from past experience, that tells me something has got tossed into the air here. So it could have been a brief touchdown of a tornado on Tyler's southwest side. If we go back to velocity, I want to stay on velocity. The bottom line is you need to be in your safe place. So you just need to be in your safe place with this cell. There's Leonard Drive. This looks like it's moved right up. If it would have moved directly across this area here, could have very well been some type of a quick spin up. Let's go to our reflectivity, and reflectivity shows that we just have this, and widen that out because I think I need to get a perspective of where that hail core could be. It feels like the hail core just moved overhead, and it is right over top of us. And so typically you'll get the hail core, and in the southeast part will be where you'll see, south of that is where you'll get your tornado spin up or your circulation. This is not the case in this vicinity or in this situation. It could be, let's go back to velocity. It's not going to be there. This is just a really tough, radar image to try to pick up on exactly where things are going. It's quieting down now here at the TV station. So that hail core went overhead. So this could have been on the leading edge. This could be a kind of a leading edge spin up. Okay. So we have a crew that is hunkered down in a pharmacy near Bergfeld Park. So they just said is calmed down considerably. All right. Now the storm, this is coming from the Weather Service, and this makes sense. The storm is starting to bow out as it moves into northwest Cherokee County. Severe thunderstorm warning forthcoming for the eastern third of Smith County and northern Cherokee County. And the tornado warning is being allowed to expire. Okay, so at 9:15, we no longer have the tornado warning, though we just had something very wicked move through Tyler. So currently no tornado warnings in place, but I got to tell you, we've had some very strong winds. You can see it's starting to bow out now as it moves into Cherokee County. So before we go back to basketball full time here, let's zoom in down here into northwest Cherokee County. And that's going to be moving southeast. So it's moving into Bullard. It's moving into Frankston, Mount Selman. It is really quieted down. That's how fast this thing is over. So you might have to widen out Savannah. So that this is all moving southeast roughly at 40 miles an hour. But really, I want to sample this portion here as it moves toward Jacksonville and Rusk, because that's likely going to be what we just experienced maybe here in Tyler, some very strong winds into that storm. But the yellow area there in the severe thunderstorm warned area that just went through Tyler continues to have that tag on it of tornado possible. So as that happens, you know, there could be a spin up. You're probably going to have to move that up a little bit. I think there's something on the bottom that it's running into, and it might be like a safe, like kind of a safe zone where we can't put any graphics because of like titling and things like that. So yeah, so it's going to be right here. You can just see how that jumped ahead. So it's basically done in Tyler. Now it's time to figure out what happened. Here's another Boeing segment. There's another Boeing segment. This continues moving southeast at 40 miles an hour. So that's headed toward Mount Enterprise. That's moving toward Jacksonville. So Jacksonville here at 9:32. So in about 15 minutes, New Summerfield 9:38, Laneville 9:58, Mount Enterprise at 10:12. All right. So for now, I mean, I know we've got some strong, possibly damaging winds out of that, but we don't have any more tornado warnings at this time. So what I can do is I can go back over to our Facebook and our YouTube stream. And from our Facebook and YouTube stream and CBS19.TV, we can track the storms there. But we know that we still have these stronger winds. So I'll wait for to get the clearance for sure to send you back to basketball full time. We'll tell you what we'll do. We'll stay on until we get back to basketball, and then we'll go back to basketball, and we'll kind of reset our deck here, and go to Facebook Live in a few minutes. So if you want to watch us over there. So Longview right now is getting what we had in Tyler a few minutes ago. Likely some strong winds in excess of 50 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour. Severe storm warned storm for sure. There may be some damage around Tyler. We'll wait and see. It would be out to the west toward the Cascades if there's any. That's what some reports are saying. White House down just to the west of Mixon through Berryville. This is this leading edge here. Very strong winds, likely in excess of 55 miles an hour. This will likely get a severe thunderstorm warning on it as it moves into Cherokee County. Also down toward Elmwood and Palestine, that portion of the storm has a severe thunderstorm warning on it. And then we'll go upstream here toward Kilgore. And right now, this is not warned as it moves into Harrison County. So this portion In fact, let's go to velocity and just let's sample some of the wind in there, and we'll tell you why. In fact, I see some of this bright green. Let's look at this area right in there, northwest of Kilgore, and see what kind of wind speeds we're getting out of that. So those wind speeds just outside of the warned area of Smith County, this would give us kind of a nice idea so 47 miles an hour. So this is why you don't have the severe thunderstorm warning in Gregg County. You're just underneath the severe limits of 58 miles an hour. You're at 47, still some gusty winds. Let's look back here, maybe on either side of Interstate 20 up in just to the northeast of Tyler. So 31 miles an hour. I know we sampled some stronger wind gusts closer to 60 miles an hour as that was moving through Tyler. In this maybe closer to this red area here, we might be able to pick up a slightly stronger signature. That's probably where a little velocity hole that's developed into where the winds have gusted out of that area. So perhaps not as strong in that region. All right, let's go back to reflectivity. And again, we are going to go back to basketball and give you that coverage back full time. And because our tornado warnings are now over here in East Texas, we do have this severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 9:30. So that's the next 9.5 minutes for this cell as it pushes east. Leading edge of this could have some very strong winds with it. But we've seen a transition tonight from strong supercellular thunderstorms, and we had one move out of Henderson County that was tornado warned all the way into Smith County, and now that has joined up with this line of showers and thunderstorms. The cold front is beginning to undercut those showers and thunderstorms, and so now they're becoming more elevated. All right, so we're back to basketball. Here's what we're going to do. I appreciate you guys staying with us tonight, watching this coverage as we've tried to walk you through and keep you safe in these thunderstorms. We knew they were going to be strong along this strong cold front. We are, of course, going to have CBS 19 News at 10 after basketball, but look for our Facebook and our YouTube channel and our CBS19.TV stream for more information on these thunderstorms. Thanks again for letting us keep you safe tonight here at CBS 19.